okay, so normally I tend to do, 40th anniversary releases or 35th anniversary releases, but this is the first time I've actually done a 50th anniversary release edition. The album I'm talking about is the classic album from Kraftwerk and Autobahn. So Autobahn, obviously Kraftwerk was a famous electronic German band, and this is the fourth album by Kraftwerk, released in November 1974. Before this album, Kraftwerk consisted of two kind of members. There was Florian and Ralph, and they added Klaus Roeder and Wolfgang Flür for this album onwards. And it was the first time they would transition into kind of electro pop, because before then it was very kind of krautrock. This is the first time they kind of ventured into their classic synth pop sound, electronic pop. Some of it was recorded at Kling Klang Studios. They used the Moog. I think they'd not long bought the first Moog. They used various drum machines, and they used the Fafisa string synth as well, which is, you can hear that all over this album. For someone like me, my production partner, we're kind of collectors of synths, and we're really kind of anal when it comes to like synths and classic synths and what they sound like and who used them. This is the classic sound of the Fafisa synth. You'll hear this all over the album. As I said, they recorded or started it at the Kling Klang Studios, which is their own studio, but they finished most of it in Connie Plank's studio using most of his equipment, his drum machines and all of that kind of stuff. But this album, I mean, considering 1974, I was 4 years old when this came out, so I didn't know this when it came out. Ahead of its time, and I think Kraftwerk always were when it came to instrumentation and the drum machines and the sounds that we're kind of using, and also not just that, it was their kind of pop sensibility when it came to kind of electronic music. They were just so far ahead of the time, and I think it's why they're held with such revere. And influenced so many bands. There's so many bands talk about the music and the band themselves as great influences. They were there at the very beginning. Godlike our Kraftwerk. So this is the 50th anniversary of this album, Autobahn. Most of the track is taken up by the track Autobahn, which is 22 minutes long. Believe it or not, I think it takes up a whole one side of this. Couple other things about this. Now, they did release, I mean, they weren't, people in Germany didn't even look at them. People in Europe didn't really know of them at all. And it wasn't until they released Autobahn as a single, and it got picked up by a radio station in Chicago, and then obviously they started to kind of pick up around kind of Europe and in America. And the things, the early Kraftwerk were responsible for the early kind of hip-hop electro sound. Think about African Bambaa's Planet Rock, which is basically Kraftwerk. So they influenced a lot of stuff. So they were the early innovators of hip hop, to be honest, because when electro hip hop, they became hip hop. Responsible for a lot of genres of music. This band, as I said, they used the Moog, Fafisa, the percussion. I'm not going to pronounce these names. Obviously, it's all in German, and it was the first time their album had lyrics on it. And where they got the idea for it was the sounds of going down the Autobahn being the German equivalent of our motorways, with no speed limits, I think, still the case now. So they tried to replicate the sounds of like engines and car noises and buses. And this whole album was almost like a concept album. I'm not even going to, other than Autobahn, I'm not going to pronounce the other ones, but I do have the English interpretation of these tracks. You've got Comet Melody 1, Comet Melody 2, Midnight, and you've got Morning Walk as well. And then obviously on side one, you've got the classic track Autobahn. So this has just been released I can't believe it's 50 years. I thought I had the original of this album. I'm sure I do, so I'm going to show you one in a minute. Now the artwork, no one is credited for the artwork because I tried to do some research to find out who was responsible for the artwork. No one knows. There was a bit of text on it. It might have been influenced by someone from Capitol, but there's no one actually have done this artwork. No one's credited on the album, or there's no information on the website, no nothing. So I don't know who did this. If you do know who did the artwork, let me know, because I'm really intrigued to find out, because it definitely looks like a Emil Schultz kind of artwork, but he didn't kind of join to later, but he did influence on their look. very early on, so he's kind of responsible for the look and the kind of imagery as well. So be intrigued to find out if he did do this, because it's very much kind of him. But if you do know, let me know. Again, this was released in America, so it got released in 1974 first, and then it got released in America a year later. And it charted, believe it or not. I think because of the Autobahn. And over here, I think it charted as well. I did have a list of the charts, but I've lost that piece of paper. And also, I don't want to keep looking down as well. Now, let's go back to the vinyl itself. Now, this is the picture disc version. The three different things have come out. You've got the picture disc version. You've got the Blu-ray, which is almost like 5.1 surround Dolby Atmos kind of mixes. If you've got that kind of system at home. And the CD, basically. But this is the stereo picture disc, and it's the first time it's ever been on a picture disc. Again, you've got the classic blue, you've got the classic cover. As I kind of bring that out, you've got, obviously it's been cut out here with the credits for the album in the back here. On the back you've got the track titles at the top, which is great. But the picture disc itself, bearing in mind this is the first time it's ever been on picture disc, and what a lovely picture disc it is. So this side here represents what's on the actual cover itself, but the other side, I do remember seeing this album with this artwork on it. This is the other side of it, which I think is great, and I'm sure I've seen the album with this sleeve on it. If you have, let me know, because I don't want the kind of Mandela effect. I'm sure it's there, but it's not happening. Let me know if this was the cover of Autobahn on several releases, as well as the classic blue one as well. Again, it's a shame we didn't know who did this artwork, but it definitely looks like the artwork of Emil Schultz as well, 100%. So be intrigued to find out who did this. So if you do know, let me know as well. So that's the picture disc. I said the first time it's ever been on picture disc. And you know me for hype stickers. On the front of this, you've got the little sticker, and all it says is 50th anniversary picture disc. If you don't have this yet, I'd suggest go and find it, because I do believe this will become a collector's item at some point. 50th anniversary, first time it's on picture disc. It's been remixed as well. So when I say remixed, I mean it's been mixed down again with the original parts. So it's a better stereo sound than the original, even though the original was great sounding. This is even better. And for a picture disc, there is a kind of myth where anything on picture disc sounds rubbish. This actually sounds really good. And what I'm going to be doing now is I'm going to be talking about how it sounds, because I'm getting a lot of messages from people saying, what's the sound quality like, what's the quality of the sound, and I generally didn't do that, because everyone has their own kind of opinion on how an album sounds, or a live album sounds, or for some it might sound great to me, might sound pap to you, and that's the reason why I didn't do it, but I will do it from now on. But this sounds incredible. Even on picture disc, the sound quality is really good. So if you haven't got it in your collection, I suggest you go and get yourself Kraftwerk Autobahn, the 50th anniversary picture disc, remastered for this release as well. And it's come out in several different releases, but this is the baby here, this Kraftwerk Autobahn. One last thing on this, to understand this, you need to be a Kraftwerk fan. You need to be kind of into electronics, and but this is definitely a classic album you have to have in your collection. But if you know any answers to my questions on who did the artwork, and was there a version of the album with this sleeve here on the back, have that on the sleeve, let me know in the comments below if you do know. And I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Here we go. Thank you very much.